What has been going on in crypto this week? A lot of exciting news. Number one, Bitcoin Treasury adoption is growing. What do I mean by this? More companies are adding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We can see Semler Scientific, Genus Group, Bitfarms. If we look at just the numbers here, we can see that they are increasing the total of Bitcoin that they own on their balance sheet. What does this mean as an investor, or why does this even matter? It just means that more companies are adopting Bitcoin. And this is no longer strained to hold Bitcoin on your balance sheet. And the more institutions or corporations hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, this literally strengthens the thesis for Bitcoin, especially the role of Bitcoin in finance. MicroStrategy is no longer called MicroStrategy. Now it's just called strategy. I was listening to the earnings call, I think it was on Wednesday. One of the things that Saylor said was, hey, we're trying to refocus or rebrand into Bitcoin because now MicroStrategy or strategy is now known as the largest and the world's biggest Bitcoin treasury company. So it's normal for them to change their logo and just reposition the company as a Bitcoin treasury company. We continue to see that strategy is also an institutional leader in the adoption for Bitcoin. What do I mean by this? Just during the earnings call, MicroStrategy or Saylor was just comparing the performance of MSTR, that's MicroStrategy, compared to the S&P 500 and even the Max 7. Just on this chart, you can see that since 2020, when MicroStrategy started adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet, we can see their rate of return over the past 5 years, over 2,007%. This is amazing if you compare that to the Bitcoin. Bitcoin was just 711. The S&P 500 was just a little bit over 80%. NASDAQ 79%. Again, it's important to see how important Bitcoin is the moment a company starts adopting Bitcoin onto their balance sheet.
Something interesting there, it means if you had just bought the shares for MicroStrategy compared to someone who bought NVIDIA shares, someone would have made more money actually for, I think, almost 3 times more, 2 times more on MicroStrategy. But again, past performance does not necessarily support to say this is what is going to happen again. But again, this is something that is an interesting story.
And this continues to further the thesis for Bitcoin. This is not just an asset that you just buy. This is a solid store of value, meaning that this is where you can just park your money and let the market just do its own thing. Again, I always like to look at what the data is telling me. Like if I look at the historical performance of MSTR since it started pivoting into Bitcoin, the returns has been amazing. I shared the same slide last week. If we look at the 5-year performance for MSTR, today, as of this screenshot, $341. But just February 2020, this same stock was about $15. So for people that believe in Bitcoin, and this is just the beginning, a lot of institutions, a lot of sovereign wealth are not even pivoting into Bitcoin yet. Now imagine when they allocate 1%, 2%, 5%, 7%, 10%. We had this conversation last week when Larry Fink was saying that he was having this conversation with some investors and they were saying, hey, what if we invest 2% of our wealth into this or 5%? Bitcoin can go as high as 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 per coin. Again, when we look at great money managers and they're saying that this is just a remarkable asset to just allocate some percentage of our wealth into, I like to listen. Matador, this is another publicly listed company in Japan. Started pivoting into Bitcoin and their goal is to own 21,000 Bitcoin. Again, what is going to be the result of this? They started buying Bitcoin.
More demands.
2024, they started adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And we can see on this chart, they started from 40 million in terms of the trading for this particular stock. And look at how it has grown in just 10 months, meaning that investors are realizing that Bitcoin has its own place in corporate finance. I'm not saying that you should go buy the stock of Matador. I'm just painting the stories of institutions that started pivoting into Bitcoin and seeing how their stock is performing over a long period of time. Again, they just started 2024. This is just 2025. They've only been in this for 10 months, and we can see how their stock has already grown. This, again, is telling us the power of Bitcoin. One of the other things that happened this week, Blackrock and Strategy. BlackRock this week increased their MSTR percentage to about 5%, meaning that BlackRock owns 5% of MicroStrategy. Why would BlackRock own 5% of this stock if they don't believe in the long-term thesis for Bitcoin? Again, I like to study this big money managers, and whatever they're doing, I just copy. MicroStrategy is just a simple way to get exposure into Bitcoin without necessarily owning the underlying asset. BlackRock asset under management is over $10 trillion. Now imagine them buying Bitcoin, having their own Bitcoin ETF. This just means that the adoption or the demand for Bitcoin is increasing. And if the supply is fixed and the demand is increasing, all things being equal, I expect that the price is going to trend upward. I own Bitcoin. I own MicroStrategy because why? I play in both. I believe in Bitcoin, but I also believe in corporations, institutions owning part of Bitcoin and just having that on their balance sheet. The same thing, Tesla too owns some Bitcoin. I own some Tesla too.
Because for me, I sold all my crypto, right? Thinking from this point of view that maybe in the future, I might consider having a small allocation again. I just had to take some profits and use the money, spend the money. Now, is it a big part of your portfolio or you are more into equities and less into crypto? Do you mind sharing?
So in terms of our crypto holding, it's at least 25% of our net worth. These numbers or these percentages is going to change over time depending on how the market performs. But in the long run, I play in both stocks and crypto. But again, it's just me taking some time to understand the space. The moment you understand Bitcoin and how powerful this thing is, it's a no-brainer. It's just so important to allocate a certain portion of our wealth into Bitcoin because it's a store of value. When the government keeps printing money, it devalues the currency we hold. And if I don't want to keep losing my purchasing power, then I buy something that has a better store of value, which is Bitcoin. So again, I'm not saying that you should go all out and buy Bitcoin. Even if it's just getting some exposure into the Bitcoin ETF or into MicroStrategy, that's fine. But again, I own some shares of MicroStrategy. I own some Bitcoin. I own Tesla. I mean, these are just plays that I'm comfortable just playing in. Is it risky? Yes, but I'm more than happy to take on the risk. Why? I've taken a lot of time to study these things, and because of that, I'm comfortable with it. Again, Ethereum is the number 2 biggest crypto based on market cap, and BlackRock is quietly just acquiring Ethereum.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, the fact that Ethereum has not even gone back to the all-time highs based on the last all-time high in the previous bull cycle is just telling me that the whales are quietly acquiring this. It's not just BlackRock alone, but even Trump organization. They keep acquiring this thing because why? At some point, the value is going to go up. Again, not saying that you should buy Ethereum. I own some Ethereum too. Bitcoin, Ethereum, these are just some of the best and the finest cryptos that are here to stay and they're not going anywhere. Back Invest, they released their big ideas for 2025. One of the amazing things that Taffy has been saying for the longest time, I think since 2015, is that one Bitcoin can be as high as $710,000 by 2030. The bear case, 300,000. In the bull case, 1.5 million. But take this with a grain of salt because these are just predictions. You should not believe everything you hear on the internet. But I'm just saying that these are people that have been so bullish on Bitcoin even before Bitcoin was $3,000 or $20,000 or even the $100,000 threshold. These are just asset managers that believe in the long-term thesis for this. Again, I'm not saying that this is what is going to happen. I'm just sharing with you that there are institutions that believe in the thesis for Bitcoin.
That's something they're going to have to.
David, recast for us, if you will, the value of Bitcoin specifically, cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in general, as we're now in the Trump administration era, we're in the back half of the 2020s. Back 5 years ago plus, there was talks about, using it as a means of buying things. Now it's more about the store of value and the way, perhaps hedge against inflation in various currencies. What do you see as the real value and the reason why the United States government should be paying so much attention to it?
Well, I think there's a few different aspects here when you're talking about digital aspects. So first of all, you got Bitcoin. It was the first digital currency and it's the original, it's the strongest one. In the parlance of the industry, it's the most lindy, meaning it's been around for over a dozen years now. No one's ever hacked it. No one's ever cracked the security around it. And so it is an excellent store of value. So that would be point number one. Bitcoin is run on, as you know, a blockchain. It's basically a distributed ledger, which is essentially a form of decentralized computing. And that platform can be used to create a lot of other types of products. And so that would be sort of technology area number 2 is all the innovation that can be built on top of blockchains.
It's just like when the internet came into existence in the 1990s. A lot of applications has been built on the internet. I'm sure that in the early 2000s, none of us thought that we could just buy something on the internet. No, I can't put my credit card on any website. But now it's so normal. The same thing with crypto. A lot of people are still skeptics. Bitcoin is the hardest form of money. And it has stayed valuable for the past 15 years. And I don't think that it's going to stop. I just saw this on the internet. 2017, if I wanted to buy a house of maybe 350,000, I would need about 24 Bitcoin. In 2021, I would need about 9. In 2025, I'm going to need about 4. In 2030, maybe I'm going to need 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3.
Yes.
Again, this is the long-term thesis for Bitcoin. It's an excellent store of value, and smart investors will choose Bitcoin over real estate. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy real estate. Please do. But I'm just saying that as a smart investor, have some allocation into Bitcoin. Bitcoin can go as high as 150,000 or 200,000 in this crypto bull run this 2025. Ethereum could go above $10,000. And we go into the alt season when everything just goes parabolic. But even with that, we're saying that institutions are buying. The next 6 to 8 months, which is 2025, is going to be life-changing. And again, what I've mostly seen is that when you sell, that is when crypto will just go all the way up. But when you're still holding, it feels as if nothing is happening. Like, oh my God, I've been holding this Bitcoin for the past 4 or 5 years. Nothing has been happening. Or I've been holding Ethereum, Cardano, or Solana, or whatever coin that you're into. And the moment you then decide to buy, it's as if the universe is against you and it just nosedives. But all I'm just saying is that if we just position ourselves into this new asset class, we're going to be rewarded handsomely. And I always like to say that for people that are already invested in crypto, don't feel as if you're still broke. You're only pre-rich, meaning that you're getting ready to be rich. So you're not broke, you're just getting ready to be super wealthy or super rich. And again, crypto is just a space that everybody be part of. I'm very excited about what Bitcoin is going to evolve into. I still remain very bullish. I would still think that in 2030, this is going to go as high as $1.5 billion. Larry Fink thinks that this could go as high as $700,000. Again, if we don't reach those thresholds, even if it's $300,000 or $500,000, that is still so much better than the price that we are today. I strongly believe that we're going to be handsomely rewarded for those that are strategically positioned in crypto. Again, we are going into a bullish season, into a very, very exciting moment in 2025. And please take this seriously. Put some money, but only invest what you can afford to lose. Don't put your life savings into crypto. As exciting as this thing is, you can also lose your money. If you have any question, always reach out to Isaac, reach out to me. Go on our YouTube channels. We have tons of tutorials. And if you have not yet subscribed, what else are you waiting for? Like, really, what else are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, and we're always excited to bring you what has been going on in the market.